Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Your gun doctor here. The Carv 2 has finally arrived, and we were all worried. Is it going to be the new M16? Did they ruin the game like they did with the AUK? Already a relief up front. It is not completely broken, but it does fit very nice in the current meta, and it has an interesting spot now. Because if we look at the gun and what it does, up front already, it seems to be not the new M16 super long-range beaming gun. Can still be very effective on the mid-range. Obviously not the 200-300 meters destruction that the M16 used to put down. More importantly though, it seems to be an SMG/sniper support close quarter combat up and personal burst rifle. So you finally have something that you can actually use in your face, right up, and also up to the mid-ranges. And that is very interesting because we haven't had a burst rifle perform like that yet. The AUK and the M16, both close quarter combat, felt weird because of their burst delay. Heads up, the burst delay is lower. If we're looking at the base, what the Carv has to offer, it has the faster fire rate than the M16 and the AUK. And on top of that, it does actually have a lower burst delay. Burst delay is between the shots, the time. That is good if you're using it in the mid-range. Obviously, if you're using that long range, that increases the recoil magnitude the gun has. Recoil magnitude is when you're shooting consecutive shots that it adds and adds and adds and adds and adds. You know, with the AUK, when you feel like very weird, when you like go brut, 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 and the AUK doesn't recenter, well, that happens with the Carv 2, especially with a short burst delay. So the gun just pulls a string of bullets up, especially on distance, if you're going away. On top of that, there's a slight little left and right bouncy. So that makes it feel very bad on long ranges. Also, if we're looking at the barrels here right now, all these barrels, they don't do what they say they do. You know, the task force says it does bullet velocity. It doesn't. Match grade does bonus damage. Nope. Titanium bonus fire rate. Actually, it does. Strike team does fire rate and bullet velocity. Well, guess what? Strike team doesn't say it does fire rate, but it does. And you know what the best long range barrel is? The Cavalry Lancer. But what doesn't the Cavalry Lancer do? Exactly, it doesn't do fire rate. So what barrel are we choosing now? That's actually an answer I can give you very easy. The task force. Why the task force has the tightest bullet cluster. So if we're talking about using this most efficient on mid-range, the bullet cluster is significantly better than, for example, the titanium, which would be a great fire rate barrel, or the strike team in this regard, which is also a great fire rate barrel. So the task force just has a significant better cluster, which means if you're actually trying to hit someone in the head, you don't have to hit him in the upper torso. Because with the titanium or the strike team, if you're shooting someone on 20 meters, you're going to be like, boop, boop, boop. Whereas if you're shooting then the task force, you can actually start shooting for the throat and 2 bullets will hit in the head. And that's very interesting if you're actually using this up close quarter combat. Because if you shoot one burst in this region here, all 3 are more or less going to hit here. But if you're doing that with the others, it might be like bap, bap, and then flew, just going straight overhead. Very good with the task force, so no vertical and horizontal recoil increase. No, everything just nicely and tightly clustered together. Because the task force really making this stick together if you're then shooting someone on range in the face. I mean, with the strike team, I would have to have her here, then there, then there. But the task force is a little bit different, right? And this obviously multiplies on range. Like, look at that. Or look at this to then hit a headshot. There's a huge difference in that because you can't control the base pull down of the gun. Like we can go for this and we can even hit multiple headshots, as we can see here. And if we're then trying to do the same in green again with this one, nicely done. It's just way further apart. You're doing 61 to the head, 37 to the upper chest, 36 to the tummy, and 34 to the limbs. That is a very good damage profile that, paired together with the RPM and the burst delay, really allows this to shine close quarter combat. Heads up, I've already used this close quarter combat and long range, and I'll say this is going to make a nice little sniper support gun. How would you now build this though that it then works sniper support or not? So we are going with the task force because it does do really good. Then obviously you want to have the agency silencer because that thing is just absolutely broken in the Warzone. Now when it comes down to an optic, this is getting a little bit tricky. You do have a decent iron sight on the gun. It's a tiny circle and you have 1 notch going on. So that's decent. But as we all know, iron sight makes tracking sometimes very hard. Also, as sniper support, you kind of want to have some bonus magnification sometimes. So I would usually say the Hawks more. In this one, I would probably say it's going to be the Silix Holo Scout, just to have really this 1.75 times magnification. Only problem with the Silix Holo Scout is close quarter combat could be a little bit iffy. Obviously, you should go for a custom reticle to have a way better clean field of view. I'm usually going for the central right now. It just gives me exactly what I'm looking for. Very interesting. If you're using this as a sniper support gun, the field agent foregrip or any of the grips are more or less useless. Obviously, you can use the bruiser grip for a bit more movement speed and also to increase your hipfire accuracy in case you slide in. First burst is going to be hipfire. ADS, bob, bob. Guy starts moving or everything is going a bit fast, just go hipfire and go because you can surprisingly well use this as also hipfire. But before you would think about using the grips, obviously you want to have the 45 round drum mag so you don't get any ADS type penalties. And then I would personally go for a grip here because you can increase your aim down sight speed to then be even better close quarter combat, because aim down sight speed is the one thing that could cug you somewhere around 300 milliseconds. Most SMGs are around 250, 40, 30 something. Therefore, with a therapin rep and the big decrease it gives you, you could then bring this to a better spot to then be really able to compete close quarter combat, mid-range. Technically, you could be in this on the long range, but you would use your sniper for that. But that's where the Carv, in my opinion, really shines. If you now do want to really use this on the long range, bullet velocity wise, you should go for the Cavalry Lancer. But the tighter bullet cluster that the task force has to offer is just so good and significantly better in my eyes that it makes no sense to go for that. So I would choose the actual 3 arms here. Still, you could keep the Serpent Wrap for the ADS time, but it's not that important. So here I would use the Field Agent because then on the distance, it does have an impact and it does make the gun feel better. That would now be your SMG Carv and your long range Carv. Are they going to be super effective rattling the meta and changing everything up? No. They're not going to be overtaking it. They're not the new AMAX or something like that. Are they top tier viable? Yes, they are. And that's the very good thing. You can absolutely play this currently in the current meta as an SMG. You can absolutely play this as a long-range beamer still. But I would argue that the M16 has the spot there from the TAC rifles because of the cluster, because of the recoil magnitude just being together. As you've seen, the recoil magnitude really pulls the Carv up and away. Whereas then if you're using it mid-range to short range, that's where the Carv really shines and brings it down. Ladies and gentlemen, what do you think so far? What did you find out in your testings? How has it felt for you clapping jimmies in plunder left and right? Have you decided for yourself? Is it your SMG, sniper support, or are you using a long-range Carv? Did you know something about the task force already, or is this bamboozling? Drop in the comments below how you feel about the gun. Is it something you're going to play, or are you just like, nah, pass, I prefer beaming? This is obviously the decision as always. Do you want to beam? Do you want to hip fire? Do you want to just be ultra fast running around? Or is it that you're interested in bursting? As always, bursting is a whole different playstyle where you can just go cover, 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 which you can't do with the beam rifle, because with the beam rifle, you're like, oh, there he is. And then he's dead or you're dead. And in that time, someone can snipe you. Cool thing with burst rifle is really that you can just shoot once, move 2 stabs, shoot once, move 2 stabs. So it's way harder for snipers to hit you in every single way when you're using these guns. Thank you for watching my video on the Carv 2. I know that everyone and their mommies are uploading stats and there might be a slight difference in what I have to others. Has something to do often with different frame rates and slight miscalculations that can absolutely happen. So enjoy the gun. Tell me how you have felt with it so far. Share your builds in the comments below. Maybe you figured something out that none of us YouTubers have so far, and you noticed that this makes the gun significantly better. So share that if you feel free to. We would love to see that. Don't forget to subscribe to find your way back for more. Obviously going to be working on Carv gameplay that we can straight out put that for you, so you can actually not only hear the stats, you can see the battle efficiency then, and if my prediction on the sniper support is correct or wrong. Also, the live stream from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. where we're actually going to test the Carv then, straight up and personal. And now, go out there, enjoy the gun, clap some jimmies, and have a good day.